All right, welcome YouTubers. This is a sort of refresh video about sports betting explanation, and I'll give some quick examples, but I'm, you know, not exactly a learn how to bet type thing. This is more of a philosophical sort of view of the sports book and how this compares to other gambling endeavors, and how it's a little bit different, how it's the same, and how it's different. So hopefully, let's get into it. I'm going to cover ATS, or against the spread betting. In other words, there's a spread, points, and a payout, and you bet a side. Either you get points or give points. If you're a favorite, you'll probably give or lay points. In other words, you'll have to give some points away. You'll be a minus something. If you're betting an underdog, not a favorite, you'll probably get some points, plus. So you'll add some points to your end result. That's how they kind of take two teams that are not even and try to balance it out to the best of their ability. And you make a prediction based upon that. And the payout has a little bit to do with both of those combined, have to do with your odds altogether when you put them together. Of course, there's other betting types, money lines, and over unders or other. I consider that a little propish in that you're betting on the weather, the pace of the game, turnovers. That usually affects the total amount of points. So there are other crazy prop type bets, right? But I'm just talking about, you pair two teams and you think how much is going to win by, how much better one team is than another in terms of points. So, house or sports book or casino pools or collects all the money. The game is played, and then the house pays out the winners, and the losers are out of it, right? They're screwed. So that's how against the spread works. That's what I typically bet because you're taking total team strengths. That snippet in the upper right corner I just switched to, that came off Covers.com. Covers.com is not a betting site, but it is based around that type of stuff. And here I just snipped out some consensus picks for, I think there's a week 4 game, New England at Buffalo. Both these teams are 3-0 going in, but you can see that even on the road, New England is kind of a fan favorite, and they've got a history behind them of being a slightly better team than Buffalo and beating Buffalo. So even on the road, they were between a 7 and a 7.5 point favorite. In other words, you would have to take 7 points off the New England final score to compare the two teams. And Buffalo happened to be +7 or +7.5, and you can see the number of picks that came in slightly more lopsided, 2-1 at -7, and at -7.5 they got a little more even, but still slightly a New England favorite. I guess 57% overall, 1,719 total picks for New England, and 1,276 for Buffalo across the various lines. I think I heard on another alternate show that somebody, I forget the site, but let's just say MGM Sportbook or something like that, they said 75% of the public money was on New England. So again, I know people try to tell you that they balance the line or they move the line according to try to balance the action. Ultimately the casino would like to balance the action, but it's not totally realistic, which is one of the things a little bit different in sports betting as I get to that table later. Just say that 60% of the bets here in this case, and differs by book, right, and by money amount too. So over on the left, I got some basic, nomenclature of New England -7 and no payout listed. That just applies. It's -110 or normal odds. Below it, I've got a Buffalo +7 with -105 odds, so slightly better payout than -110. You can have all kinds of various payout odds, which affect the total amount of money you get back. Should you win? Should you lose? You just lose your money. There's even myths and nomenclatures out there. I think I've come up with this before that people say, oh, this is how much you lose. When you lose, you lose all your money, and when you win, you get a percentage of that money back. It can be more than 100% if you had a +105. It could be 100% if it was even, but at minus numbers like -105, -110, -115, -120, you'll get a percentage of that. What you bet, you get your bet back, but then you get an additional percentage close to, typically assumed to be from the losers, right? So in quotes down below, what I'm saying is New England lays 7 points as a favorite with a -110 payout. So a $100 bet will result in $100 times 100 divided by 110, or $90.91 in profit, or in other words, the casino will give you back your $100 plus $90.91, or $191.91 is what you'll get back. And, if there was an equivalent, effectively the casino keeps $9 there, right? If there was an equivalent Buffalo pick for you, at least for 1,276 of them. Again, I'll get into the casino look a little bit later and why sports betting is different, but that's how it works for you. Of course, if New England, that's if New England wins by 8 points or more. Now, should New England only win by 6 points or more, or God forbid lose to the Buffalo Bills, then you would just lose your $100 if you bet it on New England. Now, Buffalo, same thing. In this particular case, my quote is Buffalo gets 7 points as the underdog with a minus 105 payout. So a $100 bet will result in, if you win, 100 times 100 divided by 105, or $95. So you get another $5 in profit per $100. So yeah, you'll get $195 returned, right? Or if Buffalo loses against the spread, then you'll just lose your $100, right? So how does the house collect, and what do they collect? So I want to make sure that when you listen to people that, for losing bets, the house collects the entire bet. In other words, you as the player loses your entire bet. You lose 100% of your money when you lose. When you win, the house effectively collects at minus 110 odds, normal odds, $9.09, or 9% of the winning amount, right? So that's kind of how it works. This assumes, again, I'll keep caveating it, that there was an equal loser to take that money from. Otherwise, the house has to dig out of its pocket. So the graph below it is effectively how you should kind of think about sports betting, is that you have a bunch of losers and they pay some money. The house takes a little bubble of it and they give out a big bubble to the winner. That's not too uncommon, but that's sort of the model on how it works. And of course, the house should hopefully collect enough money that they can make a profit, pay all their expenses, right? Because there are expenses with being a house. If you're a casino, you have a nice sports book, you give away drinks, or you don't give away drinks, one of the two. Or anyways, you have to advertise and do other stuff, right? And have the electronics and buy into the subscription service for the lines. And unless you set your own, it's a little dangerous for the house, but it is what it is. Let's go to the next screen. So let's revisit this matchup here, right? And let's just say both sides in this case were minus 110 payouts, just to keep the math okay. And let's just say each bet were $10 here. That's not going to be true in the real world. Some people are going to bet more, some people are going to bet less. It'll be a dollar amount for you at the end of the day. And each house is different, each game is different, right? But a total of 29.95 picks. So that's the number of picks, 1719 plus 1276. Or let's say $29,950 collected. That's what they collected as bets on this game. 17,190 of it were on New England, and 12,760 of it were on Buffalo. So clearly, in terms of a payout and how it works, the casino would be hopeful that Buffalo would win, because paying out a larger amount of money to a winning New England team, you're not going to make up for it with the Buffalo losers. You're going to have to dig out of pocket. And specifically, the 2 bullet points below, if New England wins, you're going to pay out $32,817 to the New England winners when you only collected $29,950. So you're down about $3,000, $28,67. So the book is going to have to dig into their vault for $3,000 should New England win here. And if Buffalo wins, they're only going to pay out the less Buffalo pickers, $24,000 and change, to the Buffalo winners. And the book will, of course, have collected close to 30, paid out 24. They'll be up about $6,000. So there's some incentive for books. Books know this. People who, popular teams like New England and Dallas and stuff like that, they're always going to get higher numbers. So the book is kind of always trying to leverage a little bit on the underdog side. And you can keep that in mind, that there'll be a little less value on New England, a little bit more, just marginally over time, because the book is incentivized to pick, to try to get people to even their books would be great, because if they even their books, they have no risk, but otherwise they have some risk. In this case, they would have lost $3,000 if New England won, and they're going to win $6,000, or their bank goes roll up $6,000 as a casino if Buffalo wins. So again, that's the risk of being a book. And collectively over all the games, they should make some profit, even if they have to pay out some of these New England winners and stuff. But in this case, I remember this game is 16-10. New England won, so they only won by 6 points. So Buffalo covered. So the books should have made good money on this particular occurrence. And over time, hopefully that sort of 9% average gain will keep them in business. So how is sports different or the same? I've kind of put a table together here just to compare. There's a lot of different ways to gamble. You got to figure out what category you're in. So the first column, I put like activities that are typical to a standard casino, right, or other. And sort of what the middle column is either the player drains or the casino profits. Typically how the casino makes its money or tends to win over time. And then sort of how you could break. The third column, can you break it with some of these? Not really. I mean, they can go out of business though, and just so that provides some insight. I think maybe if you could figure out how to get them out of business, or you're not going to get them out of business on average, but I'm just saying this is how the game differs, right? How sports differs as the bottom. So let's just go through the activities real quick. Like slots, a lot of slots are electronic now. They're an integrated circuit computer in there, and they'll with firmware, and they'll have an algorithm that controls the payout rates, so that on average they're collecting per hour, right? That machine is expected to collect this, and on given hours it's going to pay out Y, right? You might lose for an hour, that's going to accompany a number of hours. Think of your Wheel of Fortunes or something that are huge, right? But on average your slot should be across a couple hundred slot machines in your casino, you should be averaging. All the slot machines should be paying out pretty constant. If you have a run or something, that's kind of odd, and that's where immediately the floor managers will be out there going, what the heck's going on here, right? Are we getting hacked or whatever? But basically, as long as you have enough players to generate enough profit, you're not going to go out of business, right? As long as you can pay your expenses, right? The downfall of any business is not have any customers, but typically you're not going to lose any money here, right? Blackjack and craps and video poker are more mathematical games. Now, video poker kind of has odds, whereas the odds are kind of built into craps and blackjacks. So your video poker machine, you could make a video poker machine that has odds that actually make it a losing machine and make it winners. Video poker odds differ slightly, and those people try to hawk around those machines that pay slightly better. But on average, you're gonna just lose at a different rate, right? So all those are mathematical games where over time the casino should profit long term. And again, same type of thing. Pretty much just fixed. You're not fixed as long as you're making your expenses as a sports book, you'll be fine. Cash tournament. So poker, just people sitting around a table, 10 people sitting around a table. Again, the table collects a rake. Typically, again, if nobody's playing, they'll go out. Otherwise, the table's going to collect, and as long as they cover their profit, they're get people to work for them and stuff like that. So, there's a couple different ways that poker goes. If everybody's of equal talent at a table, then they'll all win sort of equal amounts, right? And what happens is the rake makes everybody a loser, and the poker house will do fine, but people won't do well individually. Or what alternatively happens short term is that X number of people, 2 or 3 people, are better than the other 6 people at the table, and the money tends to migrate towards those 2 or 3 people, and so the losers really lose out. The 2 or 3 people who are better poker players tend to make profits, and of course, house takes its rake, right? So very similar to the example, the bubble diagram I had. House takes a little, those players make some money, and on the expense of the losers, right? Poker tournament. I know I put pocket to poker tournament. Correction. There's a different type of game. Again, that's a tourney, and everybody pays out at the beginning. They pay their $100 entry fee, right? And they got a set amount of money at the beginning, 1,000 players, and so they got $100,000, and they're going to determine that they're going to pay out $80,000 in cash prizes, and unless they don't get enough players, or really misrepresent, uh, you know, advertising costs or something like that. I mean, they know they just collected the $100,000 and they're going to pay out 80. They just, $20,000 is theirs, right? As long as there's no act of God or no something where they don't have to give all the money back to all the players. That's pretty fixed. You can't really lose money doing that. Pari-mutuel, there's horse, dog betting, and sort of the lottery, or sort of pari-mutuel. It's very similar to the poker tournament, right? Everybody pays in, and they percent. Maybe the dog track keeps 6 or whatever 9% of the total receivings, and they lay those out as odds, right? You get 7-2 on dog number umpty ump, right? And yeah, they can make a little bit more money if this dog wins or that dog wins, but eventually, they're collecting a bunch of money and they're keeping a percentage of it. So as long as they got enough players there, they'll cover their expenses and make a profit. So it's kind of hard to break them. So the last is sports betting or any non-pari-mutuel event. So it's kind of nice to know what your event. I mean, I guess they have horse and stuff betting that maybe is not pari-mutuel, but effectively, what sports betting relies on is that you can't pick at the winning rate. Enough of their players can't pick at a winning rate. So like at -110 odds, you need a 52.38 win percentage rate to break even. Above that, you'll win money from the house, really from the losers. But again, the losers might not be evened, right? To the house at least, right? So the house can start losing money. But it's really hard to pick at that rate. Most of their players can't, so they hope to have a lot of people who can't pick at a winning rate and effectively be able to cover all the winnings they pay out. Of course, you can break the book by having enough people. I mean, if everybody picked 16 teams every week, like New England, and the odds were such that New England always seemed to cover, right? And we all picked New England. If 100% picked New England, and they always covered every week, then the casino would be in a real pickle, right? They'd be really, really having a hard time because they, have no money to cover any of that. So you could break a sports bet. A lot different than some of the others that I listed above. So just realize it's a different game in that regards, and that's sort of my mantra behind that. And that again, it's even at a cash table, right? I mean, all those are above or sort of guaranteed some income rate, whereas sports betting not guaranteed for the house, right? Which is even though they'll effectively, that 9%. I mean, they're just going to put out odds that are probably going to do that. But should somebody come along and give really winning odds for a period of time, you can put a book out of business, and sort of like competition in the market, undercutting rates. Everybody flocks to that book that has the good payout, and then eventually they have to clamp it back and make profits. So always a little tough. Anyways, that's how it's different in that it's not a straight mathematical rake/percentage, and so you have a chance, but you still have to be better than the number. You don't have to be better than the other players. You just have to be better than the number and picking it. So a little different, a little better. I hope that explains something to somebody. A little bit beginner, a little bit intermediate. Have a good one.